Unfortunately, there is a problem with my house. It is the least soundproof building this side of the Mississippi, which means I can hear my neighbours, but much worse than that, they can hear absolutely everything that I'm doing. This means that I cannot do any of the things that I like to do when I'm home alone. Nothing weird, just, business meetings with my cats, which I don't want them to listen in on. So in today's video, I'm going to show you what I did to soundproof my house and get those business meetings back on track. First of all though, I'm going to show you a diagram of my house and of the village. I feel it's just important for a little bit of context. Okay, so my village sits at the bottom of a hill, which means all of the houses in the village are on a slope. My house is actually an upstairs flat, or an apartment, with no upstairs neighbours but one downstairs neighbour, and it's kind of unique. But because of the slope of the village, I have a garden which is on the same level as my upstairs flat, but the downstairs neighbour has no garden, so they're directly below me, and for that reason my main concern was soundproofing the floor, as that was where the noise was going down from me. To get started with the soundproofing, a few months ago I found a company called Sound Reduction Systems who make this product called Acoustalay. Acoustalay are these big 20 kilogram, 1.2 meter square sheets of underlay which are made up of foam sandwiched between this kind of rubbery material, and you just fit these under whatever floor finish you want to go for, whether that's carpet, wood, laminate or something else. For the majority of my house I'd be going with oak flooring, but in the two back bedrooms I wanted to go with carpet with another layer of thick underlay below it, just because I wanted these rooms to be far more soundproofed, so that whenever myself or other people were sleeping here, it would just be as quiet as possible. One of the bedrooms is also going to serve as a kind of home office where I'd be doing voiceovers for these videos, so again I wanted it to be a quieter environment for recording, which would help my videos be better, but also I then wouldn't have to worry about my neighbours hearing me make videos about cats. Laying this stuff was pretty straightforward, but the sheets are kind of like dead weight, which can be a bit awkward to lift. I've never had to move a body, but imagine this is what it would feel like. For the rooms where I'd be having carpet, it was necessary to put the little black bars around the edge, which you can probably just see, as that gives something for the carpet grippers to fit on top of, and then for the carpet to tuck behind. The only other thing that's worth mentioning, which I struggled with, was cutting the Acoustalay. It says it's easily cuttable, but I struggled. I think it's probably because I was using a blunt blade on my Stanley knife. I did ask the carpet fitter if he had any tips for cutting it better, and he said it's helpful to use a concave blade, which is kind of like a hooked blade, which are made for cutting things like leather, so apparently that would have been much better. With that first room done, which would be the office, I could already feel such a difference when walking around in it. Previously the floor just felt paper thin, like just walking around felt like I was tap dancing on my neighbour's head, and I could clearly hear conversations being had below me, but now it was reduced to just a tiny muffle, and also the sense of guilt that I felt just walking around my house was beginning to subside, so that was quite nice. The whole process was quite enjoyable though. It was kind of like a big rubbery, heavy and very easy jigsaw puzzle. I've found this is the kind of job that I like doing, just quite a satisfying and rewarding process where you can actually hear and feel the difference in the room as you make a little bit of progress. Once all of the sheets of the Acoustalay were down, I then taped over all of the joins with Gorilla Tape. The manufacturer doesn't say to do this, but the carpet fitting company suggested that I do. I guess it just makes it a neater surface for them to work on. A few days later, the carpet fitter came out and fitted these carpets. Like I said, I went with carpet and a layer of underlay on top of the Acoustalay, just because I wanted these rooms to be as soundproofed as possible for sleeping in. Now obviously one benefit of soundproofing your bedroom is that it's going to result in you getting better sleep, but that's not the only thing you can do to improve your quality of sleep. Over the past couple of years, I've been using one of these Pro masks from the brand Manta Sleep, and that's resulted in me having some of the best sleep I've had in years. I tried the generic sleep masks that you get off Amazon, and I was always just so disappointed by them. They're not very comfortable, they just kind of feel cheap and flimsy. They don't create like a seal around your eyes to block out the light or the nose, and that just means like all of the light comes in through there. But with Manta's masks, they have these like cups which create a nice seal around your eyes and are just very comfortable. So they've solved all of the problems that I experience with the generic sleep masks. If you'd like to pick up one of these masks for yourself, then you can use code GEORGE10 to get 10% off your order. And as a little bonus, I'm going to be giving away one of the classic masks to someone who uses the code. So if you send me a screenshot of your order by email or by Instagram, I'll randomly pick a winner in 48 hours and you'll get a classic sleep mask for yourself, which you can keep, or you can give it to a friend or family member to share the gift of sleep. You spend like a third of your life asleep, so I feel it's worth dropping a little investment in getting the best sleep you possibly can. With the 2 bedrooms done, the next areas needing soundproofed were the hallway and the bathroom, because I genuinely wanted every single inch of this house soundproofed. For the bathroom, where I'd be having it tiled, the regular Acoustole sheets weren't suitable, so I went with the tile mat, which if you've already seen my bathroom transformation video, you'll have already seen a little bit of. The tile mat is another soundproofed underlay which is made by the same company that makes Acoustole, but it's specifically made for areas where you'll be putting stone and ceramic tiles. In the hallway it was pretty much the same process as the bedrooms, but here I'd be having oak flooring installed, which you can see Stuart the joiner putting in. Now moving on to what was the most terrifying prospect of this soundproofing transformation, the kitchen and living room. Like I said, I wanted every single area of this house soundproofed, but the problem in the kitchen and living room was that the kitchen and wood flooring had already been installed in here without the Acoustole. This part of the house is the place that I'll be spending most of my time in, so having it not be soundproofed was not an option. Thankfully, Stuart came back to the rescue. Because the existing wood flooring ran under the skirting boards, he had to pull these off whilst causing as little damage as possible. He then moved on to pulling up all of the flooring so that we could lay the Acoustole sheets before fitting the flooring back down again. Initially, the prospect of this process was about making me spew, but it's something I was very thankful we did for 2 reasons, which are actually completely unrelated to the actual soundproofing. The first reason was that when Stuart pulled off that first skirting board, which was right next to the patio doors, he discovered that water had been leaking in through a bit of the patio door that hadn't been sealed from the outside, and that water had damaged the skirting and the flooring. If we hadn't gone back and lifted this would have never been discovered until I had mushrooms growing out of my floor. The second reason I ended up being thankful for pulling up the floor was that when it came to lifting the washing machine out, which is built in as part of the kitchen, we found that the hose for the washing machine had been kinked and broken. I've been partially living at my parents' ever since this kitchen went in, and I've just been using their washing machine, so I haven't actually used my own washing machine yet. So if we hadn't discovered this and replaced the hose with a new one, and I'd put a wash on with the old broken hose still attached, water would have been absolutely gushing out the back of my washing machine, down the back of the kitchen, and that would have been not terribly good. Not a very family friendly angle, but I thought I should mention that Stuart managed to unscrew and screw the kitchen cabinet feet as needed so that the Acoustole could slide right under and get right to the back, meaning the goal of soundproofing this whole room, even under the kitchen cabinets, was achieved. When it came to putting the flooring back down, Stuart actually had to go away, so I asked him if he'd be alright with me giving it a go, and thankfully he was cool about that. I only did a little bit myself that day, but when I went to my bed that night, I was honestly excited for the next day to begin so that I could get back to my flooring. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it, so if YouTube ends up failing and the cat videos stop paying my bills, I will absolutely be going to university and getting a bachelor's in floor laying. Probably goes without saying, but rather than clearing the room entirely, because I couldn't put the sofa in the hallway or outside with the temperamental weather we have in Scotland, we opted to just lift and shift the sofa from side to side as needed when the Acoustole was going down and when the flooring was going back down.
We just wanted to lift that whole thing on now. Just the way it is.
Yeah. With wet hands, he's going to help with the couch.
I'm shocked.
Go that way, that way.
I'm shocked for the weight of that bloody thing.
Aside from the few pieces of wood which had gotten wet and rotten from the leaking patio doors, all of the flooring stayed in good shape and didn't break from the pulling up process, so that was quite a relief. It kind of clicks together when you put it down, and I was a bit worried that pulling it up might cause these joints to snap, but thankfully it didn't. I've said this time and time again, but I think my major regret throughout this renovation has been how uninvolved I've been, just sitting back and letting other people do the work. So this time round, actually doing a couple of little bits myself, it just gave me quite a big boost. I'm still terrified of the circular saw though, which is why I opted for a very shaky handsaw approach. A few days later, after all the wood flooring was refitted, Stuart came back and fitted all the skirtings and the kitchen end panels, and I moved all the furniture back into my newly soundproofed living and kitchen room. Although this probably does seem like a bit of a ball ache process, it was honestly so worth it. The whole house feels so much better being properly soundproofed. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you leaving a like and subscribing for more, and as a reminder, if you want to pick up one of Manta's masks, enter the giveaway, or find out more about Acoustically, I'll link all of that down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.